This is the house that Camera built. Time to get started.
Hey there, welcome to the Jam. I'm Cameron. Today's toast is to Grease. Now, this would normally have been because of SourcefedNerd Movie Club, but I have had pneumonia this week, so I only am now feeling well enough to actually do something about it. So, yeah. Now, I did originally watch this with fever, which does not improve the movie. So the short sell on this one is it's teenagers in the 50s trying to get laid. I love it for this one, the music being the strongest thing about the entire movie, was Beauty School Dropout. It goes something like, Beauty School Dropout, something like that. And because the cats were being annoying the entire time I was sick, and the cats were being kind of annoying while I was sick, and so I made a small parody. It goes something like, you are an asshole, look what you've done, oh what an asshole, I hate every one of you. I have fun. I hate it despite all the anti-feministic nonsense that's in this movie is the line, did she put up a fight? Because I know it's the 1950s, filmed in the 1970s. It just sounds a little bit too much like rape's okay to me. Just saying. The MVP for this, and I use that term loosely, is John Travolta. His character, mostly because the movie's centered on him, is what kind of holds this crap factory together. And on to the categories. Aesthetics. I know it was filmed in the 70s. I know it's about the 50s. But I'm not a fan of either time period, so the outfits don't do anything for me. The movie looks kind of garbagey, and compared to some of the other movies, like I Spit on Your Grave from the 1970s, Carrie, the production quality does not look that good. They get over it by doing bright colors and dancing musicals so that you don't notice, but the only thing that saves this in the aesthetics category to me at all is the music. Not the lyrics, because most of those don't make sense or they're about disparaging women. But the music is catchy. They definitely had good score writers for this, and being that it was originally a Broadway musical, they should have. I just don't know who the lyricist was for that. Aesthetics gets a 40. Character development. This is a weird one because character development is really centered down pretty much just to John Travolta's character and Sandra Dee. The other characters don't really change all that much. Frenchie kind of has a neat sub-story going with trying to be a high school dropout in beauty school who's failing, who kind of makes her triumph in transforming Sandra Dee, who the whole reason she changes is to get this loser-ass guy she's after. Especially when a lot of the movie's supposed to be about him becoming good enough for her, because in the greater picture of things, she's the better catch out of the two. Up until that point, like, it's like, okay, you got something, you're trucking along with it, and then all of a sudden you get head on from the other direction, and I didn't know what to do with it other than just be aghast. And while he letters in track, he doesn't really shape up all that much. Yeah, he wins the race against Craterface or whoever it is, but he tore up his car in the process, and who cares? Character development gets a 60. Storyline. This is really about them trying to get in their pants. There's no redeeming qualities to it. There's no, oh, they're in love, this is sweet, he respects her, or anything. It's really kind of like just watching him trick her into giving it up, and then seeing what it costs him along the way. It's ridiculous, and I don't know. I think it sent a bad message then, I think it sends a bad message now, and it's really weak story, with characters that don't hold anything up to it. Storyline gets a 20. Compulsion. I really could have turned this off at any point and been happier. And this is from a guy who, all I could do at that point was lay on the couch and hit stuff on a keyboard or a remote. I was passing out from trying to play video games. No condition to be watching movies almost, let alone anything else, and I would have rather done nothing. Actually, quite honestly, I would have turned something else on. But because I didn't have anything better to do, I thought I might as well try, because I'm still regretting not yelling about Katy Perry for 2 hours. Compulsion gets a 10. Now, if we total all that up, we get an average of 32.5. Now, granted, I watched this while with fever, but the costumes and the way people act and talk, it really makes it seem like it's a foreign nation. not even a different time period, just like watching a Chinese movie and it's badly translated. I never thought I'd be in a position to be like, this movie's way too Caucasian. There are no other ethnicities or anything like you would see in modern movies. And worse yet, there's no other cultural aspects involved. I really appreciate it nowadays when, like, you meet the Asian character or whatever, and he's got like a more traditional family and he's trying to break away from that, or Indian is becoming more and more prevalent as well. And it's not necessarily that you need a token person like that. It's just nice when everyone's idiots to have someone different who's refreshing. Or that one character you can relate to a little bit more because maybe you have something in common with them. And unfortunately, I tend to relate to minority characters a lot more than your mainstream middle class to upper class white American. Like when they're driving a Porsche or something into high school, I don't relate to that. I took the bus all the way through high school. Screw that noise. Sandra and Riz are two of the worst female role model characters I think I've ever seen. Sandra's very uptight by perspective of the other characters, and that's fine, but she dumbs herself down and makes compromises throughout the entire movie, but she finally gives up her whole self or perspective of self for this loser-ass guy. Riz, on the other hand, has no standards whatsoever and starts banging her way around town, which I'm fine with. It's not the best world, maybe, but it's hers, whatever, I'm okay with that. And she slowly starts to build up a little bit. You would think like, oh, she starts high, she starts low, and they meet in the middle. No, she just doesn't care. She gets pregnant, or she at least thinks she gets pregnant, but I don't see that changing her at all. And if you had birth control at that time period, maybe I'd feel a little bit different. But you don't, so she's just gonna bang until she gets pregnant and trick some guy into marrying her, because that's what you did at the time period. Women weren't expected to make their own money. They got a guy and he provided, and that's what they're doing, which makes Sandra's situation even worse, because the loser guy she's with, you hope, you want him to be good enough or get good enough to get a job and support her, but maybe. The singing and dancing and whatnot is fun, but there's not a lot of substance there. A lot of the lyrics are nonsensical or kind of serve a bad message. I'm going to go ahead and say most people like this movie because they already liked this movie because they were indoctrinated when they were younger. Because their parents told, oh, this is so good, and how fun is this, and let's sing and dance, and And a lot of times when you're younger, kids don't pay attention to the words or the context of the situation. They don't understand what's going on. They don't understand they're watching a whole movie about kids older than them trying to bang. I don't know. I just don't recommend this one. It's just me. But if you like it already, more power to you. Watch what you enjoy. Why would you watch anything else? Anyways, I think that's it for me. I'm Cameron. Have a nice day.
If you want to see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations, and they'll take you to our other channels.